Hey, what's up, everybody? I give some people some time to come in and give the link out a few more times. Facebook tells me I can't post links anymore. All right, let's make this fun today. Where's everybody tuning in from? I just got to Sicily a little less than a week ago. I got this really cool place near in Carini, near Palermo, but it's kind of like this walled off compound. Reminds me of that scene from Netflix from was it Narcos where Escobar's just like by himself with like all these amenities. He's got his hands in his pockets. Like there's a tennis court here, and there's just like all this huge yard and like games and stuff. It's it's ridiculous. Like it's this really big piece of property that you'd rent a 3 bedroom condo in Florida for the same price. So Sicily's Airbnb game is really awesome, but hard to get around the island. Figuring beautiful. The internet's super fast. Uh, as I said, but you're in Tampa. Yeah, I miss Tampa a lot. Reply to some of these posts. People wanted to get in a group call. I'll be with you guys 2 or 3 minutes. Cigar, you're calling from India. I'm getting more and more clients from India. The economy must be picking up there, or I'm just India, I guess. But no, I love working with India. I've been coaching for I don't know, like 6 or 7 years now, and I've seen a shift, seen a lot of shifts, but I've seen a big shift, like demographically, certain countries coming up, and you know, I thought I set this to auto join. Now I'm just hitting join up over and over and over again. Okay, let me get into it anyways. All right, so what I've done is I pulled up a bunch of different slides from various presentations. I'm in no rush. I got a couple hours, so we can just spend this time together, and I'll go through some case studies, and I'll start off with sort of my thoughts on this industry where it's at. Why are people not able to auto join? You set this up. Okay. Oh, hmm. Oh, Dimchi, can I make you an admin in here so you can just let people in? Let's see. Trading room. Oops. Make you the host, but I can't make you an admin. All right, I'll just keep letting people ding dings. All right, so yeah, it's really just should have made you a host, Jimmy. That's all right. I don't do these big calls that often, maybe a couple times. Yeah. Happy Sunday, Alex. Dude, I love your Alex is one of my seven figures members. I love your jet ski videos, man. I get FOMO every time I see. Mine was just gathering dust. So Carlos, that used to work at China, sold it for me. I'm that cliche that buys a jet ski and takes it out, a few times, buys all the accessories, like everything under the sun, and then I just, I went to an event in Europe 2 years ago to just travel for a couple weeks, and I've like barely been back since. 2 years later, I finally had Carlos that used to work at China and sell that thing, but I miss it. All right, so from a bird's eye view, like if you're on this call, you want to make a 6 or 7 figure business, right? Or you want to take your 6 or 7 figure business to a higher profit margin or a higher level or just less chaos, right? I've been full-time drop shipping, print on demand, kind of impulse buy, Facebook, flying by the seat of your pants, full time for 8 years. And, for six of that, coaching it, scaling it, what have you, in the first couple of years, just as a seller. And I've been very happy with message card jewelry. And especially now that Shinon has these much cheaper cost of goods, it's really the best opportunity I see out there by a long shot is to sell this message card jewelry. And there's a few reasons why. The first reason, well, it's an impulse buy, okay, which is what you need with Facebook ads if you want to profit off the front end. If you want to, like, if you're building a brand and, 2, 3, 4 sales later and longer in the funnel, and you can afford to lose money on the first customer, a loss leader, those are whole other business models. Impulse buy models where you can make a profit, drop shipping, some print on demand, uh, lead gen, assuming you're affiliate lead gen, assuming you're being paid out properly and you can keep your ad accounts up. This is the most straightforward one with the least moving pieces and with phenomenal margins that exists out there, right? So we've got an impulse buy product, which is necessary. We've got a vehicle to sell that, which is Facebook ads, which is the biggest social network, the biggest ads platform for e-commerce outside of Google. So for interruption market, we're in the biggest, and we had a product market fit with family gifts. Okay. We got high perceived value. I love jewelry. I quit my job off of free plus shipping a 50 cent AliExpress watch for $20 on Instagram, in 2015. Like I love high perceived value stuff. That's $20 is not high perceived value. Like you sell love knot, a gold box here, and sorry, a gold love knot in a luxury box. You can get like $100, and that's without the upsells. So you have a high perceived value, especially depending on who you're selling to and if you're selling in demand, right? And the beautiful thing about this is we know where the demand is. Like we see the pitch coming. Like you just have to get on Google Trends. And I didn't queue any up, but I should. So every year we know, exactly what pitch is being thrown. And it's people need to buy gifts for anybody in their life that's a mom, right? Okay, so we want a high perceived value product. We want a product to market fit. We want to know where pitch is coming and when it's coming, right? Next thing is break even ROAS. Okay. So there's a lot of people pushing t-shirts and like an expanded catalog within Shinon and within print on demand in general. And even in my group, I've had a few guests on to introduce other products. Since we mainly sell message cards followed by acrylics, probably followed by blankets. But then the new Shinon catalog, there's some areas for profit, sure. But a lot of it is going to be shiny objecting you off. And the whole reason that you kind of landed on this message card jewelry selling space. And probably you had to grind out a whole bunch of tests and the message cards weren't working for you. And then, for some people, there's going to be people of all different success and on their journey. But for enough people listening to this, you landed on Shinon, especially now because your cost of goods on low cost of goods and a high perceived value product that sells hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You just want a slice of that, right? But it takes a lot of testing, and we'll go into that a little bit later here. It takes a lot of testing to break your ad account in, to get through your own learning curve, to find products that are going to sell, and then to learn how to develop those products. Develop them by improving the actual product, by getting the upsell sequence right, by getting the creatives right, getting the messaging right, and then learning how to scale those products competitively with other people selling the same product and competitively with yourself to be aggressive when you need to be aggressive and be conservative when you need to be, and competitively with the algorithm, right? Because this is a mature market. So, how can you behave right amount of aggression and reality and perception to take the most margin out of it when you scale. So back to the high break even ROAS product here. Okay, so let's just look at a standard love knot, right? So you get a standard love knot. These are rough numbers here. So you say you get COGS with shipping and what have you of a standard piece of jewelry, MasterCard jewelry, 1550. Sell for 60. You can sell it for more into the demand, but let's just use this for this example. So you divide to get break-even ROAS, you divide your selling it for by the margin, right? So you get 44 bucks in margin, 44 and a change. You divided 60 by that, you get a break-even ROAS of 1.35. Which means you can put $1,000 for every $1,000 in ad spend you put in. You need to hit 1,300 or 14, say with some returns, 14 or 1,500 in sales to break even. Okay. But then, not to dunk on some of the new stuff in the Shine On catalog, but this one is really bad. Look at the jean jacket. So the jean jacket, your cost out the door, and feel free to correct my numbers or whatever here. And if somebody's figured out how to sell these jean jackets profitably, truly profitably, like good on you. Like, that's awesome. Probably by selling them for more, selling them in bundles, whatever. I'm sure it can be done. But I doubt it can be done with Facebook ads. And if it can, I want to be wrong. I love being wrong when somebody does a case study and it works. But let's just look at the disadvantage here. Okay. So, it's a bulky product, but it's got a lower perceived value than basically this like little piece of costume jewelry that you can sell for 60 to 100 bucks, right? And so if you run the numbers on a standard love knot, and that's not even going with the gold version or any upsells, like you can have a $80 margin and still maintain a 1.4 or 1.5 break even ROAS on these message cards in a proper funnel. So you can have so much room to to scale here, right? Because if you can afford an $80 purchase, so much more of the auction is just opened up to you than if you can afford $10 or $20 purchase for some of these lower margin. So if you look at a jean jacket, we run the same numbers on it. It costs you 39 bucks, you sell it for 50. You got a margin, whole margin of 11 bucks here. And, looking at break even ROAS of 4.5. So for every $1,000 you put in, you got to get like 5,000 or 6,000 in sales to make this thing work. So for me, like even if it was free, even if I was getting free cost per purchases, which is probably where this makes sense, is to do it something organic. But even if it's free sale, it's Amazon or Etsy, you're still going to get 6 or 10% fees by the time everything's said and done, and then another 20% in returns because clothing has a high return rate, and then the deal and having to deal with that. Like I just don't see how you make any money. You'd have to premium price it, and you'd have to have free traffic, and you'd have to just flawlessly do it to even earn a dollar. I don't know the numbers on t-shirts, and I didn't take the time to run them, but I know that it's popular right now to somehow it's popular just through the fact that marketers are marketers, that apparel is an exciting new category within print on demand within this space, like an exciting new category. Okay, sure. Apparel's been print on demand for what, 10, 15 years when you could boost a post to Teespring in the early days. And when, ads were basically free. But, the whole reason you landed on you ended up on this call is you're looking to do what I'm doing here, is to take people to 6 and 7 figures as quickly as possible with a high margin, high perceived value product. Okay. And also it's extremely low returns, right? So I've done $1 million scale and had less than a 1% return rate on it. This was my record. No, we'll get to it later. So we got extremely low return rate. We got extremely positive break-even ROAS. We got a fat margin. And so, if you want to make the most money in the shortest period of time, you got to stick with products like this. And as far as any opportunity to sell something you don't have to carry inventory, e-commerce business, and I've been in this game full time now for over 8 years. there's really nothing better. It can get boring to have to grind out a bunch of products that look, basically identical to each other and that look identical what everybody else is selling. But that's just because it's a mature market. There's not that many more original ideas in the message cards, and that's fine, especially now because the margin is less. You go, oh, is this saturated? Well, no, because with the lower cost of goods, you can compete with people that used to have to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands on jewelry and logistics to get the same break-even ROAS. So now for the first time I've ever seen, there's inventory in the US, they're selling to the US that has a lot of demand, at least 2 times of the year, Mother's Day and Q4. And you have this phenomenal margin and you have basically unlimited, if too many people start doing $10 million years, maybe they're going to get behind, but you have basically unlimited supply of these messages. Right? Okay. All right. So this is what I love about this business model. All right. Impulse buy product, low cost, high perceived value. This is the key to success. To like stacking success mathematically in your favor. We're going to go through this one by one. I'll share this. I'll share this. I'll make a recording of this too. It's being recorded. I'll blather on for a little bit, and then we can do some Q&A, and then I'll blather on a little bit more. Okay, so high demand, or at least seasonally high demand. Like we literally know that it's just starting to pick up, and we know that 1 week from now there'll be even more demand. 2 weeks from now, even more demand. 3 weeks from now, everybody's got to get something for their mother. It's really obvious. Any woman in your life that's a family member that is a mother, you have to buy a gift for her. So it's just like selling like hotcakes. You can crank up the price, you can crank up the ad spend, the demand is coming. It's just like we see in Q4. Like we talked about, low break-even ROAS, low return rate. Couldn't find the slide, got too many slides up. You're looking at 1 to 3% return rate if you properly run a funnel with these message cards. When things are going perfectly, I've seen return rates less than 1%. Okay. Facebook compliant, you barely ever lose ad accounts on this. And if they do, they were running something like sexually suggestive. Like there's some pretty sexually suggestive stuff. Yeah, there's a recording, Richard. There's some pretty sexually suggestive stuff that works in the soulmate niche. Like you guys have probably seen a couple of them. Like a few years back, it was like the two deers going at it. There's that beer belly like picture of a guy and the love knots like over his stuff. That stuff will sell. And humor actually works primarily in the soulmate market, but you probably lose your ad account for complaints, especially if it's a newer ad account. You won't just get an ad disapproved. You probably lose your ad account. It's like sexually explicit. Okay? So keep it clean, unless you have a high risk tolerance. Okay, because I basically unlimited, right? Obvious trends to take advantage of. We know we got Mother's Day. We know we got graduation, and we know they overlap. We know we have Father's Day. We know what works well in the summer. We know what works well in Q3. We know what works well early Q1, Q4. We know what works hyperbolic late Q4. And we see that pattern over and over again, year after year. And it's just basic human behavior. And it's the things that it's the US family unit. It's like, the US Family Guy, the US Family. So I always talk about the US Family Guy. It's really obvious how to sell to the US Family Guy and when he's going to buy, right? What else do we need? We need a fast, simple site with some upside. Okay? Don't get super fancy with apps. Don't have your landing page cluttered with a whole bunch of other stuff like polishing cloths or something. Like who cares about a polishing cloth? We're not even selling jewelry here. We're selling sentiment. And if it's close to an event like Mother's Day, we're selling a problem-solving property. Problem-solving product. And so, you make this nice video ad or picture ad, and then you create all this emotional support, emotional reaction in someone, or they read the message on the product page, and then they go to look for the add to cart button, and they got a bunch of clutter everywhere, and they got an email pop up, and they got a banner popping up in the top, and they got a bunch of little get a polishing cloth and like all this other stuff, and it's like by the time they find the add to cart button, with our TikTok brains, they've already lost the emotion. Like they might have to scroll back up and read again, and the second time they read it, they're like, I don't really, I'm not feeling it. If you want to control this customer experience, you want a nice big picture, and you want a nice big add to cart button. And then once they add to cart, now you can start to sell them some other stuff, but in a very organized, uncluttered way. Okay, so we want a fast, simple site that's going to convert. And understand what the heck we're actually selling here. It's not jewelry. We're not selling jewelry. The little love knot in the middle, all it does is justify the price, right? We're selling the sentiment, and we have to sell it in a very particular way to make the most amount of money possible, right? And then for sometimes of the year, maybe 4 months, 5 months of the year, 5 months of the year, we're selling a problem-solving product. Problem is, it's Valentine's Day, and a married guy's got to get something for his wife, and it's got to be nice, right? It's Mother's Day, and you got to get something for your mom or your wife again, or it's Q4, and you got to buy gifts for your whole family. There's periods of time where this is a problem-solving product, and you have to lean on that, lean on the emotion that people get when they see these messages, and then you lean on the fact that it's fast, free shipping, guaranteed, all this kind of stuff, so that you're solving the problem. Say it's a U.S. Family Guy again, you're solving the problem that he's got to, you know, get all this stuff, get some very loving gifts for his family, and make it easy on him, right? He doesn't want to read Hallmark cards. Give him big, chunky fonts that he can read, and very like you know, treat us like I'm a family guy. Treat me like I'm a romantic caveman. Make it super, super easy on me to get through a message, have an emotional response, give me a nice big button, hit add to cart, throw me a couple other things in the upsell sequence that, might be pertinent. Other people in my life that might be moms. And great. Now I get a gift for them. Boom, boom, boom. I didn't even know who I bought from. 99% of these buyers don't even know who they bought from until it's the customer service time. And then it's like, hey, where's my stuff? That's it, right? Right. There's an addition. I didn't put another thing here, but there's an additional advantage to these um, love knots versus really anything else I've seen in POD. I would guess the vast majority of people who receive these. The nice thing about this is the buyer is not the person wearing it. Like if it's apparel or something like that, it could be the buyer that's wearing it. And they're going to try it on. It's not going to fit. They're going to return it. They're going to be unhappy. They're lazy. They'll just do a chargeback. They'll bitch and moan over customer service. A lot of these message card gifts, the gift receiver is going to basically experience the gift just like they got a Hallmark card from their grandma with a $5 bill in it or something. Like if your grandma sends you something, and if you're one of my clients, you've heard me say this 100 times. If your grandma sends you something that says, when I'm dead, remember you were the best thing in my life. It could be a rusty, broken love knot in a broken box. And grandma would call and say, hey, how is it? And you would go, thanks, grandma. That was so sweet. Really, really, I love you so much. Because you're not going to complain to your grandma and make her feel bad that the gift wasn't bad, right? So the fact that these are gifts, there's certain niches where it better have higher quality. So like you're in the same house and it's your wife and you get her this gift, well, then she's got it and it comes broken and rusted. It's not going to go over as well as if it's a remote gift, right? So certain niches will have higher return rates in customer services than others, right? Okay, what else do we need? We need a proven testing strategy, okay? So there's a bajillion guys like me, girls like me out there teaching all sorts of different things. What I teach maybe doesn't work in some other niche, okay? It works in this niche. It's documented. It works over and over and over and over and over again. And it's based in reality. And we can stop right now and talk about testing, or we can have me keep moving through the checklist here. So why don't we stop my tirade for a minute and let me just do some Q&A. So hit me with some Q&A questions in the chat. I'm gonna start dragging over some case studies while you guys put Q&A in the chat. Just questions on anything, but like primarily testing. All right, so I'll keep talking. All right. You need a proven testing strategy. Where would I advertise a Mark? Good question. Where would I advertise a sexually suggestive card? It's sort of like where would I do anything that is high risk to an ad account asset? So that could be multiple things. It could be sexually suggestive. It could be you're running lead gen to a category that's like make money online or health supplements. Um, there's a lot of things that are just inherently riskier to your ad accounts and across all ad networks. And so it's like it's not even where I would sell it; it's how I would sell it. I would not risk my own assets, right? So I would rent an agency account from an agency, hire an agency to do the advertising, but I would pay them a fee. Somebody that's got tier one Facebook rep access, and somewhere you can run something riskier. It'd be the same thing if you were like going to run some political ads or something. You need to. It's going to be riskier. You're going to risk more money because you have to pay for an agency account and you have to cash it up. You won't be able to use your own credit card probably, but you want to it's almost in the realm of like gray hat and in the realm of just lead gen that's in higher risk categories, right? So the same thing could happen is like if you start to run you could run something that you think is just like a really nice idea, but you didn't properly go through the steps. So um, for example, you could run something where you're giving 10% of your you could have a t-shirt giving 10% of your proceeds to something, but you didn't get approved for political ads in matters of national importance within your business manager. You didn't verify your business manager. You didn't, Google how to get approved for that category. You didn't go through the process of getting approved for that category. And if it's a newer ad account, even if you did get approved for that category, you're probably still going to get your ad account disabled and have to fight to stay up with ad networks. There's certain topics and there's certain verticals that there is a barrier to entry, and that barrier to entry is knowing how to keep ad accounts up and having access to the right people that'll charge you to get your ad accounts back up, right? So if you decide to run something in the soulmate category that's sexually explicit and run it on an ad network, it's just high risk. Um, Same thing with like cuss words like badass or something. It's high risk. You might be able to. I've seen plenty of people run stuff like that for a while, and Facebook approved it for like $500,000 in sales, and then Facebook just bans the whole business manager that it's explicit all of a sudden, right? Like I did in drop shipping, we did like close to $1 million in baby dopplers in 2020 on the same ad that had been approved, and there was no page score problems or anything. All of a sudden, Facebook disabled that business manager for their medical devices or uh, something like showing too much skin or something with a pregnant belly in the ad. They let us do $1 million before they shut it down, right? But there's no guarantee on that. You might run it for $100 and then you lose your whole business manager too. So it's just higher risk to do something in the soulmate niche seems to be where it works the best. Um, to do something overly flirtatious or sexually explicit. And some people's ad accounts will just never have a problem. They just win like this Facebook compliance library and they can run political t-shirts. They can run sexually explicit stuff. And then others will run it, make some money, have to fight to get it back. It's just back and forth and they still make some money. And then, 100 times or 1,000 times more people would just go into the business manager graveyard running high risk stuff because it just didn't go to plan. So, okay, Ruth, how can you check your daily or weekly limit for ad spend on Facebook before starting? Well, it won't be related to getting your ads shut down. Sometimes it'll show, in some accounts, it'll show you what your daily ad limit is, but you can also just get on chat what your daily ad spend is. Okay. All right. So you need a proven testing strategy. You need a testing strategy based on reality. So in a brand new ad account that it's an unproven ad account, it's unproven product, unproven website, unproven creative. All KPIs other than all key performance indicators other than purchases are just complete noise because you're going to get all this random traffic. A lot of it will be junk or improperly targeted traffic. It's just going to be all over the place. And so the only thing you can trust initially is purchases. Once you start to have a broken in ad account, so now you can start to trust some other metrics, right? And that's just the reality of the thing. Like the amount of engagement or likes or clicks or add to carts you get on that first 30, 40, 50 bucks in ad spend. It's 10 times more likely if you get 10 ads to cart on something for $20, $30 in ad spend that it was just a bot that just hit add to cart. And if you had a really cheap cost per click and it's the same kind of card that you've tested, 20, 30 times, same thing everybody else is doing, and has a cheap cost per click, probably Facebook just gave you bots or junk quality traffic. So the only thing you can really trust when you're first starting out is actual purchases, right? And once you build off of that, now you're dealing with reality, right? So you have to have a proven testing strategy, right? Whether it's mine or somebody else, like dig deep, really make sure they can get results with what they're teaching. And like, otherwise, why absorb information that just doesn't work, that isn't proven, doesn't make any sense? Okay. Then this is hard. So you need the consistency and determination to actually execute on this testing strategy. Because if I tell you it's going to take you 150 products, and after 5 products, you're just mentally on tilt, then it's not going to work, right? So I'm going to play this kind of cliche video clip from Hermosi here, right? Let me pull that up.
A lot of people want the yes, but they aren't willing to pay the price for yes, because the price for yes is 100 no's. And as soon as you are willing to get the 100 no's, you can get as many yeses as you damn well please. If that were the price that you had to pay to live the life that you want to live, would you pay it? A lot of people want the yes, but they aren't willing to pay the price for yes, because the price for yes is
And that's like super cliche. And I often hate if I'm reposting Hermosi or somebody, Tony Robbins or something, but like they have some real golden nuggets. Like the guy puts out 80 pieces of content a day, 1 or 2 a week are really going to be great. And that one is. And, you just got to think about it. Like someone who has the determination and consistency to test 100, 200 different reps, we call them reps, whether it's a beginning phrase or whether it's a creative of that phrase, or it's a different design of that phrase, or it's a video of that, or whatever element it is. Somebody who's willing to test 200 repetitions versus somebody who gets frustrated at like 5 or 12. Like it's just math. The math just doesn't math if you don't put in the same amount of work or a similar amount of work to 7-figure sellers in your space. And so you need to understand what 7-figure sellers are doing in your space. And what they're doing is way more repetitions than 99% of people. They're testing more products initially. When something has some sales, they're testing more variations of that product, testing more pictures, they're testing more Facebook copy, primary text, they're testing more graphical overlays, borders, whatever, they're testing more picture creatives, video creatives. They're testing, multiple different scaling or pre-scaling ad strategies. Again, not just out of the blue, but strategies that are proven to either worked in this space or in impulse buy marketing in general, and ideally recently. Maybe they worked a few years ago. So the people that hit 7 figures and stay there, it's not luck, right? They're doing more actions in a more calculated way. And it's not rocket science. It's just putting in the work. And what happens is when money gets involved and when I'm consuming so much information from so many different places, and 90% of the guru types that are selling you something are telling you what you want to hear. They're saying, hey, spend $5 a day and join this 2-month program. You know, then that's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear the reality. It's more like spend a couple $100 a week and dedicate at least half a year or a year to this, and be very calculated. And this is how you build a 6 or 7 figure business. But if you reframe that, like, you know, what other business could you build for such a small amount of money? Even if what I'm telling you is it's going to take more than what you want to hear. There's no other business out there that's cheaper than building an e-commerce business. But, you know, the space of course sales and coaching sales, it's a lot easier to tell somebody what they want to hear and get their money, right? Like if you get on a call with me and you say, I just want to pay, you know, X and X for Mother's Day. And, you know, I can say, yeah, sure. You got a high chance of success with that. And it's there's no learning curve. It's a completely brand new, unproven asset. It's just not reality. So it's one of many possible scenarios. It's one of many possible winning scenarios, is that you'll be able to make money right out of the gate. But the way that we're in a mature market here, the way that the algorithm works, it's more likely that it's going to take you a couple wins to get you into the game. Oh, here's that slide from earlier, right? We were talking about a low return product. This was the first $1 million scale I did with Shine On. I took it over right here for a client. Look at that, less than 1% return, right? If you're in apparel, you're gonna have like 20% returns and lower margins and lower perceived value and bulkier stuff. So that's why I love this business. Very straightforward business model. Just the human complicates something naturally, right? You need a proven development strategy. So you test, you got something that makes a couple sales. Now what? What's been proven to move the needle next? Well, proper upsells, testing more versions of the product that is working for you. Okay. Testing picture creatives, video creatives, putting in more reps. So if before you're putting all your effort into initial testing, because you don't have anything proven to do anything, I will define it as, you know, something that at least makes a couple sales on $50 or less instead. Okay. Once you have something like that, now you need to 80-20. You need to put 80% of your effort into developing that thing. What's going to happen is you're going to be able to spend a lot more money, and you're going to hover at a small gain or a small loss while you're breaking in your ad account, right? So you have to have an understanding of how an algorithm works, basically, especially in how it works treating new people, right? So let's talk about Facebook or many algorithms out there. When you first start running ads, it doesn't know who you are, doesn't know your site, doesn't know your ad account, doesn't know if you're delivering product, if you're giving good customer service, if you're sending out things people want, doesn't even know if you're a scammer or not. It doesn't know if this business is viable. And so like imagine the algorithm like it's an actual person, okay? So this is a brand new business relationship. So in addition to putting products in front of people that they actually want to buy, you have to show the algorithm that you're somebody the algorithm wants to do business with at a higher and higher level. That's going to allow you to spend more money and profit, right? And so with a brand new ad account, it's not going to treat you as nicely as an ad account that's done $10,000 or $15,000 in sales. Because at that point you start to get some feedback, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 in sales. You're giving Facebook some feedback. By then your message cards are getting better. Your creatives are getting better. You're getting positive feedback, or at least lack of negative feedback from your customers, right? You've gotten a few reviews, or they're not complaining. Your credit card has gone through successfully over and over again. And so Facebook sees all this, and it starts to view you as a higher quality person to do business with, right? And so when people talk about, optimization, the first optimization is not actually optimizing, like truly optimizing your pixel or your ad account on who it's going to target and cost per purchase you can expect and all that. The first optimization is that it's a handshake. It's a handshake between you and who you're doing business with, which is in this case Facebook. And you have to grind through that. And most people quit before they grind through that, or they just don't realize whether or not they're doing that, or they keep chasing a product and spending more and more on this product that wasn't proven to make some sales. And so now what are they feeding Facebook? They're feeding Facebook the fact that, oh, this company is willing to just spend $800 on a purchase, to just keep spending money, spending, hoping, smoking the hopium that this product's going to come back around. But what you need to be feeding Facebook is that I'm willing to spend $30, $40, $50 on a purchase. And if it doesn't stay there, I'm turning it off. So you're building a business relationship with the algorithm at first. You're giving it feedback that you have things that people want to buy. You have ad creatives that have an above average, click-through rate. You have messages and a website that loads fast and is easy for people to shop. You have multiple products on your website that people want to buy. You're not getting negative feedback. You're getting positive reviews if on Facebook Shops or something like that. And all these indicators are the business relationship you're building invisibly building with this algorithm. You're telling it what you're willing to pay for a purchase, and you're telling it, look, I'm an above average advertiser. You should give me the ability to spend more money and spend more money profitably, right? And then once your ad account's broken in, you're going to hit another glass ceiling. It might be like $3,000 or $5,000 a day or something, where whatever you do, it won't let you go past that. And at that point, it's not whatever you do. If it's into the volume momentum of like Mother's Day run, well, you can get past that with a number of different things, just various ad strategies and lots of creative testing, to the point where you're just pushing through that sort of invisible ceiling over and over again until it lets you get to those 10 grand plus days, right? And then at that point, it views you in a whole other light. But it's really kind of like this free step getting to know you business relationship with Facebook. Facebook's figuring out what you're willing to spend to get an event, okay? And it's figuring out, are you an above average advertiser, and are you running your business so that you can confidently match real buyers to the traffic that you're buying. And then once you've hit a point where you've done 100,000 or more or something like that in sales, well, then Facebook's fairly confident that you're operating real, and it's going to let you run up to a 7-figure business, because the next time there's momentum, it'll let you spend more and more money because it feels confident that it can match real buyers to you. And at the same time, you're feeding it the information of what you're willing to pay for a buyer, whether it's literally by manually driving it and putting a manual bid on it, or whether it's when things go above your target cost per purchase, you or your software is literally turning it off. And so you're optimizing for a certain cost per purchase. And so that's a lot of stuff all at once. That's basically how you do business with an algorithm. You have to show it what you're willing to pay. You have to show it that you're an above average advertiser who's running a real business, and that it can feel confident to send good traffic to you, because you're going to convert it. You're going to send somebody what they want. You're going to have a credit card that goes through successfully, and it's going to favor you. Now it's going to start to favor you and allow you to be profitable. And now it wants to test you at another level. So this is a real business, but how are they going to do when they're doing $3,000 a day or something? And then it's going to try kind of like put a little governor on you at like $2,000 to $5,000 a day or something. And the better your creatives are in your ad strategy, the more you're willing to push more reps through, and especially into a volume event, you can get through that really fast, like Mother's Day, right? If it's the summer, then you might just have to keep beating up against this invisible wall until in Q3 it starts to let you get past it, and then you can go hyperbolic into Q4. Again, that's a beautiful thing about this family gift giving space. Like, we know if it's baseball analogy, like we know what they're going to throw. We know what ball they're going to throw. We know when they're going to throw it. We know we can just get on Google Trends and see how long we have to do that, right? And so we can go through this over and over again with new ad accounts. There's plenty of people. There's people in my group that have 3 stores, $2 million stores plus, and one like multi 6-figure store. And each store it had to go through initial getting to know you period. Doesn't matter if you have $1 million store or not, or if it's your first time running an ad. You have to build that business relationship. Facebook, which is a push and pull, you have to feed it the indicators that you're optimizing for a cost per purchase, what you're willing to pay, and you have to show it that you're operating a business problem. And then it's going to feed you better standard quality of traffic. Whereas when you're first testing, you have this is junk traffic, decent traffic, and everything in between. Like your traffic quality is just completely all over the place when you're first testing, which is why you can't trust anything with purchases, because the rest of it's just complete noise. So money management expectations, I mean, I could talk for years on that. Consistency. If you test 5 products a week and take 2 weeks off, it's 250 products a year. You're going to have multiple products that can be developed into 6 or 7. It's just mathematically highly likely if you consistently test. Doesn't mean you have to do 5 every week. Maybe right now, because it's Mother's Day, you do 10 products a week. Maybe after Mother's Day, you do 2 or 3 a week, right? But if you have the consistency, determination, the mindset that works, the same mindset that worked for me when I was running my first Facebook ad 8, 9 years ago. I was bartending, and right, I'm going to keep doing this, keep testing something every week, and keep learning and keep testing something every week until I make this, because it's obvious that e-commerce can work. So I'm able to make it work. You have to come to that determination, and then you have to consistently execute. Not shiny object all over the place, which is very difficult. It's even harder after you do your first million to not shiny object than it is in the beginning, believe it or not. And that's always a heartbreaker when somebody does. And I've had that happen for years. Somebody does $500,000 or $1 million with me, or multiple million, and they just disappear. They're shiny object on something else. It's very human. Most of the reasons people don't get or maintain success, it's really just the human factors. Okay, let me catch up on some questions. Carlos asking, should we approach testing over the weekend different than the week? Not right now, because it's just like such a big demand wave starting right now. We got multiple people at over 10 grand a day, with multiple people over 3 or 4 grand a day right now. Like, this is the beginning of the event. This is the beginning of the ramp up. So time is money. Like, there's times where you get paid to wait. Like here, I'll pull up a Google trend. There's times where you get paid to wait. Let's say you're in the dog. This one has just such an obvious time. Doesn't make sense to not wait. Picking one of the major niches that has the most obvious trends. And again, this is all about, we get to see exactly what the pitcher is going to throw, right? Come on, Google. Okay. So there's times where it's obviously good to wait, right? Test where you don't want to get aggressive, right? It's right here in front of your face, right? There's times where there's always a dip and it doesn't make sense to get aggressive. But then there's other times where it's obviously in an uptrend. So it's like it's like day trading. If anybody's done day trading or just stock investing in general, but you get to know what's going to happen for the next month. You get to know the market's going to be in a bull trend. Like, barring any just crazy worldly event, but like our last horrible world event was actually really great for e-commerce. It just was terrible. Barring any other event, I don't even want to say out loud that would cause e-commerce not to work. That would cause computers not to work. We know exactly, within a very minuscule percentage of doubt, that we're in an uptrend in demand in family gifts for example, for daughter. We know that people are buying for graduation. We know that people have daughters that are mothers, right? And we know that those same people probably have other people in their lives that are mothers. We can sell them more gifts. So it's not rocket science, right? And we know that after Q4 and after Valentine's Day, that the buyer is exhausted and not looking for a gift. And then Easter goes by. You know, the US Family Guy thinks like one holiday at a time to plan for, to buy for, to make adjustments, right? Family Woman, Family Guy, doesn't matter. And so we know we're in an uptrend. So now's the time where you don't get paid to wait. Now's the time where it's time for aggression. Like the opportunity cost of not testing massively and not putting in a bunch of reps, not scaling and not testing a bunch of different creatives once you have something that's an outlier, something that makes multiple sales, and not developing it, not trying a whole bunch of different things to get that product to work, not investing in the right coaching. Shameless plug. The opportunity cost is too great. It's too great not to be aggressive. There's you don't want to have any day where you're not testing something, right? Now, over the summer, if you're in the daughter niche, you got time. You got time. You got time is on your side. You can build up your ad account. You can build up your assets. You can build up your email skills. You can maybe go learn some Google search ads. You can just speed up your site, do all kinds of different stuff when it's slower. You can still test a lot of different products. You have time on your side, and so you do get kind of paid to wait. Or if you have a winner off of this, you can do what we call a low impact scaling strategy, where you have a high potential budget and a low potential bid. First stuff, the community calls it stranglehold. Tim Bird, my mentor, calls it sneak attack. You have a high budget, like $1,000 or something, and you're trying just to spend like $50 a day. And all you're doing is, if this is the Facebook auction, you're just jumping in and scalping cheap cost per purchases when there's not a ton of demand. You can do that right here too, even when there's like no demand at all. And then there's time when things start to ramp up. And this is where you can start to test a lot more variables into some demand. And then there's times where it goes hyperbolic and you have to do everything you possibly have at it. And then also, this is a really good time to fix your credit up and get a bigger credit limit in anticipation of the next big event. David's asking me, how much minimum budget to start Facebook ads and testing to scale up? You're gonna need to test anywhere between like 20 and 200. And I'd say $150 a week for testing on average. If you average it out, think about this over the course of a whole starting a business. Think about a fiscal, or at least Mother's Day. At least $150 a week. At least a 10 or 20 grand credit card to be able to scale. I'd say there's sort of the minimum requirements. It's kind of what I did it with. I did my first $1.5 million on a $6 grand in cash and a 20 grand credit card. It's difficult, but more would have been better, but we did it. Stella, hey Stella, how are you? Assuming we should target these niches: mom, daughter, granddaughter, soulmate. Granddaughter's tough. I like your other ones. If you can get granddaughter to work, you're gonna have to do some conversion rate optimization on your site. It's a bit different than the other niches. During the momentum events, I've seen it's a little harder to break in to the granddaughter space, just because the family audiences overlap so much more, and the other audiences are bigger and shop online more. There's a bunch of other little intricacies to the granddaughter niche that, if you have a winner, and it's not hard to get, like, to test with granddaughter, and all of a sudden some grandma comes in and buys 5 products from you. You're like, sweet, here's my winner. But it's tough to go from that to a 6 or 7 figure store. One of the top sellers is absolutely crushing it. I probably know which site that is, but and I've had sellers do $2 million in the first quarter in granddaughter niche, but they were testing like 30 variables a week for a bunch of them. It's a tougher niche to break into. So if you're one of my students in Stella, you either have been or are currently, I'd much rather see you hit on those other niches you mentioned first, make some money, And then maybe store number 2 or store number 3 is granddaughter, unless granddaughter is going so well that, love to be wrong, somebody's doing phenomenal with granddaughter, happy to tell them what works in granddaughter and you can run with that. But like as a coach, it's my job for them to make the most amount of people, the most amount of money in the least amount of time. And the granddaughter space is a little difficult to fit within that equation. Just like some of the random stuff in the catalog of print on demand as a whole or shine on. There's certain people that are going to excel at customizing wall art or acrylics or doing something that they personally have an additional skill at or experience at or willingness to jump on the phone with a particular niche and make a big sale. There's certain business models within print on demand. A perfect example. So a couple Father's Days ago, we did like 200 grand with a custom upload keychain. And that was a whole other business model. It was a lot more like running a real stressful business and not a print on demand business. It was an old coffee with Michaels. It was this ended up being $1 million a year. It was the Mother's Day card that did, I think, 600 or 700K for Q4. I don't have that screenshot, but that's a good segue to like how you want to use Mother's Day as a launching pad to build as a big portion of the momentum of building your 6 or 7 for the year. But this Father's Day one, this product was custom upload, and we scouted real hard right into the deadline, and it required a lot of customer service. There's the more customized the product is, there's more fields for having to fill out graphics or fill out names, or picture upload or grading, whatever you're going to do. It becomes a 10 times more customer service heavy business model. And that's a good fit for somebody who knows what they're getting into and they're properly staffed up for it, and possibly even enjoy that part of it, versus somebody that's like, oh, this is just like scaling a message card, but then it's like a highly customized product. And it's like, oh crap, it's just 10 times the work, right? So I'm not saying that everything in the grandparent space is as difficult as the most customized product or something, but it is more difficult of a to get to work, and it doesn't necessarily follow the same kind of trends that some of the other niches are. Another niche that's like that within our space is the memorial niche, right? And so that takes a little bit of a different angle of approach, and to a certain degree, the apology niche, the I'm sorry cards, that's a pretty big niche, but it flows in different trends. And so some of those niches aren't the most straightforward ones, like the other niches you mentioned, what you mentioned, mom and daughter and soulmate. Those niches are a lot more straightforward, and so are the upsell sequences, and so are the simplicity of the landing pages. Having less variables make those business models more straightforward. There's plenty of them. If I missed any of those questions. But yeah, keep the questions coming. I'll just keep talking. I've got a whole another hour I put aside for this. Go through my bullet points and pull up some old slides and talk about some previous wins. Okay. Proven upsells. Certain times of the year, like Mother's Day, let's say you have a soulmate card. Chances are the person buying that soulmate card has a mom too. But right after Mother's Day, the soulmate might want to buy for somebody else in their family, or just earrings or a different product or something, right? So you have to adjust your upsell sequences depending on that. This just goes back to like the over and over again, successful entrepreneurs, whether it's me in a mastermind that I'm the least successful person in at some event, or whether it's drop shipping or print on demand into a mature market like this, like the people that put in the most reps and they do it the most consistently, every time that is like it's like 99% of it. Just putting in that consistency and determination. Now, the business model has to be sound, right? You have to have some of these other things I mentioned. You have to be in a high perceived value, low returns, low break even ROAS product with proven supply chain. And you have to, all these other things I talked about earlier, all these things have to be in place. And given that all that's in place and it's a formula that bakes the cake, then execution of it and determination to continue to execute it. And, if you can afford to, and often everybody can afford to, but it's more of a mental challenge. You can afford to just surround yourself with the top 1% of people in anything you're doing. Then you just, when you don't have if you're ever feeling a lack of determination, a self-doubt, right? Or if you're coming from a mindset of scarcity, fear of loss versus like what you need to succeed right now in a Mother's Day is not a fear of loss. It's a desire for opportunity. Right now, a month ago or so, your desire for opportunity, your tasks, getting things in place. Right now, sure, it could be getting things in place because you still have plenty of time to run. But if you're in the game already, this is the opportunity cost of not being aggressive right now. It's very high, right? And then over the summer, it's not the same. Over the summer, you have time. But again, you can put the foundation in place. You can break in your ad account and do that initial handshake with Facebook so that you can have these big Q4s, these big events. And then your baseline of what you make even in the slower months get higher and higher and higher. Oh, Phil, landing page is the product page. Whatever you're running an ad to is the landing page. Right? So for me, I just want the dawn theme, not super crowded, just a big add to cart button, not a bunch of clutter, no pop-ups, no flashing banners, not a bunch of bumps. I want a big picture of the card, add to cart button. And once they've added the cart, now you can take them through a customer journey. But the whole purpose of an impulse buy landing page, run them to the product page, run them to the version of the product you want to run them to. For example, let's say you're selling acrylics. Acrylics being my second favorite product in the Shine catalog. Don't be at a pretty distant second favorite. The message cards are still the best opportunity. But let's say you're selling acrylics and you have a really nice video of the actual functionality of the LED. Well, you better land them on the version of that acrylic, land them. And they click the ad, they hit the product page, the landing page. You better land them on the version of that acrylic that has the LED, or else you're just getting 10 or 20 bucks less for the product, and the customer is going to be unhappy because they're going to be like, hey, where's this thing doesn't turn on or whatever. But so the landing page's job is to be congruent with what you're selling. In most cases, there's other skill sets too. In most cases, to be congruent with what you're selling, and an impulse buy, like a Family Guy, that you're providing them a quick experience, to have a quick emotional reaction, price that seems right to the perceived value, big button to hit add to cart, throw him a couple other things in his space that he might, well, maybe I need something for that person too, and get him right through checkout, and then throw him a couple other things to it, right? And so that's the job of the landing page. Hey, Gina, what's up, kiddo?
Hey, brother.
What's going on? Where you guys at right now? Remind me.
We are in Texas. We drove down to like the New Braunfels area. It's we're staying in a place called Canyon Lake, and we just went into New Braunfels and went to like a German beer garden with our friends, and yeah, we're gonna be here at the lake for the eclipse.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
I didn't put that two and two together. Okay.
Yeah, so if the weather
conspiracy theories. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about this eclipse. It's funny, but if the weather is good, we'll be in the path of totality here in Texas. So we'll get a really good experience of it. But it's supposed to be rainy. So if not, we had a good excuse to hang out at a really pretty lake house for a week with our friends. So That's fine.
Yeah. So I'll give you this checklist earlier, but I just, before I got on this call, after we talked, I made a list of just like all the things you need to have in place that I see is the straightest line to build a 6 or 7 figure business and or grow within that range. We have a few 8 figure people now too, but to build a 6 or 7 figure business where you don't have to carry your own inventory, the straightest line is just laser focus on the product with the highest margin, the most straightforward trends, and the lowest return rate, and just a whole bunch of other things that all add up to making it work. So I don't know if you want to chime in for a minute and talk, because I'm sure some of the people on here don't know me from Adam. They were on your email list because Gino's a bit of a viral sensation on the internet last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything like anything? Are you asking me if I have anything to add to the list, or just like in general?
Maybe just in general. Let's see, if I was to interview Gina, what would I say? Where people can ask questions in the chat. So you've been working with me for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, and you had internet
Yeah.
hustle. You were doing full time or part time before that. Like, I don't know, off the top of your
Yeah.
head, what's like top 3 things you see in people that succeed?
So I feel like I'm going to answer that in an opposite way with like what I think are the most important learning curves to like overcome to be successful. So one is getting out of your own way when it comes to product creation, like really following what the market is showing you that works versus just like what you like. I think that for me especially, and I think that a lot of people can relate to this, like my brother has this like brilliant analytical brain. I don't have that brain. I have a creative brain. And so print on demand appealed to me because it's like seems like a creative outlet, and it can be in a lot of ways. But I have adjusted the way that I get that creativity out than when I did when I first got started in this. Because when I first got started, I was just playing in Canva. I was not, the stuff that we make money on, the products we make money on are things that I would have never personally chose to design. So I think that is like a really big hurdle.
Usually it's not also not necessarily the product that the person wanted to receive either.
Exactly. It has everything to do with the way the product is received in the split second we catch someone's attention online.
The
And
buyer.
the buyer.
Yeah.
Exactly. And very little to do with the receiver and the seller, right? And it's very different too than if I went into like a boutique to pick out a gift, it would be a completely different shopping experience, right? So like being able to have a deep understanding of what we're doing with interruption marketing.
Yeah, so if you were to walk into a boutique, you have search intent. You went there to shop. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's for some family members, probably both, right? And so you have search intent. Like you went in there with search intent. We're interrupting people while they're on their lunch break or they're in the bathroom. Yeah.
Exactly. And even with, and a lot of you guys know that I have an extensive background with Etsy. Even with a platform like Etsy, which is a search intent platform, there is still elements of interruption marketing when it comes to making something work, because you might have search intent when you got to that page search results, but then you still have to be able to stand alone in a sea of other options. And a lot of those same things apply with the like design mentality of what you're doing. So it really is a lot more about understanding the sales funnel than it is like making something that is subjectively appealing, right? Which is why like a lot of those products, the message cards that make the bulk of the money when you see our client results with 6 and 7 figures are plain. Like boring, sometimes straight up ugly.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that is a really big hurdle. That I think that successful people in this space have overcome. Another one, and like I talk about this a lot because I'm very passionate about it, is time management and not playing office. I don't know if Mario, if you've had a chance to talk on this call about like the like employee mindset thing, but like it is
Oh,
a
no, I
really
think
hard habit to break. Like doing things like for like tasks for the sake of tasks, or like working for the sake of working. Like I still, even after years of doing this, and like with plenty of other stuff, important stuff to do, I still catch myself every once in a while in these tasks that it's like, this is not moving the business forward. It's not making me money. Like, I don't need to be doing this. So like this mindset shift of getting out of like, whenever we come from a background of working as an employee, working for somebody else, especially if you're coming from a background in a corporate world, um, I often have to bring myself back to like the reason that we are a family of entrepreneurs is because we don't want to work for anybody else. Um, and so, like, what is the point of doing all of this if I'm still bringing that mentality and still like myself to work like hours from not getting anything done. So like being efficient and smart about what you're doing with your time and really laser focusing in with what matters. It's something that like this is a conversation I have a lot with our new clients that come into EPM. You know, the reason why we build our clients a website is because that website build is like the most rowdy time suck, right? Like you could spend months playing in Shopify, designing something that you think is cute that probably runs slow, um, and you know, be months into this like overall business and project and have not launched an ad, not made a product. You know, it's like the tasks. There's so many tasks that make up what we do that you could just like spend forever doing without focusing on what matters. So I think that's another big thing for sure. Um,
Yeah, the thing with
having
the
an
site,
idea
the thing with
of
the site is, um, and I'm not trying to turn this into a pitch webinar, but this is just the reality of it. Like what Gina and Caleb and her growing team, she needs to offload this to somebody else too. What Gina and Caleb do for new clients within a couple hours is a site that's based off of exactly what works in this space, in the theme, the app, the little bit of customization of the app, the way the apps are set up in the proper order, that's working for, I don't know, 30-40 million dollars, like just recently. So it's not like it's not a rocket science kind of site. It's just a handful of apps, but they're set up in a very particular way that's worked the best and is the most competitive. And now your baseline is that you have a top 1% store. And so I could teach that, and we'd spend, let's say somebody comes in for 6 months or a year, somebody could spend months and months on that. Or, I could just spend a little bit more money on my staff and have Gina and Caleb or whoever else build it for everybody that comes in. And then like you don't need to be a pro designer. Like plenty of people pay other people to develop their websites anyways. And it's never the site that's going to work perfectly the best in this space anyways. Um, Unfortunately, I've had clients that have done millions with me, and they did like their own web development, and they put up because that was their background, and their ROAS was way worse, and their amount of time that they put in. These are like professional marketers too. The amount of time they put in developing a site that Gene and Caleb can just whip together in a couple hours. It costs them millions because it's simple works. We're in a very simple business model that everybody overcomplicates, and it's just like 100 little things done properly in a row, none of which are rocket science. Now, once you get through those 100 little foundational things, if you want to geek out with me and Matt on algorithms and ad hack strategies for optimization and crazy high flying numbers. You can, but that's not the core of making a business like this. I took over your time there.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, the other thing too, that we're driving through the countryside, so you might lose me, but the other thing too that I would say is something that is common with successful people in this space is getting like obsessed with your data. Like knowing your money when you're running ads and being putting your into those numbers and not into like, you know, what we always talk about, smoking hopium, like not trying to will that to change because you think it's a really good product and maybe if you just run a little bit longer it'll work. But really, you know, and this is another thing that doesn't come naturally to me. This is something that I have had to really learn to do, is to like understand my like numbers, like for the business and for ads specifically, but like relying on data instead of my like the emotional investment that I have in my store to make these decisions. To like, you know, you hear my brother talk a lot about like, you know, winning big and losing small. And I think that being able to make data informed decisions in the moment is what and like makes the difference to have success long term with this business model.
Cool. And thanks for popping in on your day off.
Yeah, for sure. I know I saw some comments come up in the chat. I like my phone cut out and so I can't see them now. So I'm sorry if someone said something to me that I can't see.
I'll go through. We don't have a ton of comments, so I'll just go through here. David's asking, so beginner, should we niche down or do something broad? So David, if we're talking about message cards, they're really just, for the most part, there's a niche, family gift giving, right? So if you get too far away from direct family relationships, it becomes a very small, too small of a niche, and there's only going to be a few people successful, right? So like a couple of niches I mentioned earlier that are harder to break into. One would be, you know, I'm sorry, the apology niche. Like a few $1 million will be done in that. But if you look at something like soulmate or daughter or something like that, then hundreds of millions of dollars are being done. Now, if you talk about daughter, you could go 1 degree of separation. You do bonus daughter, and then it goes from hundreds of millions to, you know, probably 10 million, tens of millions for bonus daughters. So the pie gets if you get 2 degrees of separation away from any niche, doesn't work in this space because it's already a niche product. It's a Hallmark card with a piece of jewelry in it in the $50 to $100 price range, right? And so if you niche too far away from that, it's just not going to work. You're not going to be able to build a 6 or 7 business with it. If you're talking about, you've seen some like 8 or 9, you know, figure companies that do a ton of family gifts and they're all in a ton of different niches. I think it's like McCorner or Cosby. They have like 1,200 different product SKUs running at any given point that are all customizable. They must have a team of like 50 people in the Philippines just running that stuff. And so that's a whole other business model. If you're in a broader reach product like t-shirts or something, everybody wears a t-shirt. Everybody's bought a t-shirt. Everybody's bought a t-shirt or given a t-shirt to someone else. And so you can niche way down in that. You know, you can do vegan cat lovers in Florida or something, right? But in this, the product is already so niche that you just want to get your slice of the niche, right? And so whether that's love niche or first couple that come to mind, in direct family relationship or 1 degree of separation thereof. 1 degree of separation thereof, if it works for you, it can work great, but it doesn't take much competition to actually really get saturation. Direct relationship, you know, to my soulmate, to my daughter, you know, if you're worried about saturation or something, you're actually just going to be riding the coattails of the top sellers. because the top sellers are already doing tens of thousands of dollars a day. And so they're breaking the market in. And so you're going to have it says to my daughter, and then you says to my daughter. And by the time you get to any kind of scale for Mother's Day or for Q4, you're basically the third or fourth impression that father has seen. And so basically your ads on a winning product are a retargeting ad. And so you get to ride the momentum of the initial sellers. And so you just have to be aggressive at the right time and have the right product with a good creative to get your piece of that. And you don't have to worry about the fact that somebody else does $10 million and you only do 150,000. Cool, do more next time, right? Get a bigger piece of the pie the next time. So niching down a lot more, specifically with message card jewelry. Message card jewelry is niche. So you don't want to go too far away from where all the money is. They used to put out a pie chart. Carlos worked for Shine On. And if you looked at that pie chart, it's all direct relationships, soulmate, wife, daughter, granddaughter, husband, there's like 100% wheel. There's no little piece for like something that a lot of people would call niche, and there's a lot of coaches out there teaching this like niche. You got to niche down real far. And that worked on t-shirts, 5-10 years ago, but it doesn't make sense. You don't niche down on something that's already niche. Like, doesn't make any sense. This is a family gift, and we know exactly who these are receiving. Like 99% of these gifts are going to like a direct family relationship. 97% of these gifts are going to a direct family relationship. So like you only want to play in that field because that's, for the most people, that's the only field. There'll be a few outliers. Out of 10,000 people, there'll be 5 or 10 or 20 people that do it differently and in their own way, and that's awesome. But again, but within that, there'll be 500 people that are doing 6, 7, 8 figures, maybe 1,000 people. I don't know, at least 500 people that are doing 6, 7, 8 figures, and they're doing it where all of the pizza is, where all the pie is. And so you'll have 20 outliers doing it differently. Like the chance of me or you being that unique skew is so much smaller than just get as big of a slice as you can at this moment of where 90%, 97% of the money is. I'm really glad you asked that question. Okay, Phil's asking me about bundles. And you're giving me a particular site about woven blankets. Yeah, I'm not going to pull up a particular site, but there's going to be certain products, Phil, that bundles make sense for. And there's certain bundled offers that it's the only way it can work, right? So let's say you're in like t-shirts or something. If it's or hoodies, like if it's just 2 hoodies for a couple, or it's a mom and a daughter, and the hoodies complement each other, and now your AOV ends up over $100. Well, the only reason paid traffic would work to that particular hoodie would be because people are buying 2 at a time. Because if you were just selling 1 hoodie, you'd probably lose money to ads. So there's places where bundles work, but I'd much rather just have a straight message card funnel, where this is where the majority of the money is, the majority of the profit is. Have a straight message card funnel, get your piece of that pie, and have the proper upsells, and you end up at that same over $100 average order value for a much cheaper cost of goods. And it's a really much more straightforward line. As far as testing creatives, even testing the creatives are going to be a lot simpler on testing creatives. It's really easy. Another thing I didn't even put on this list, but the message cards, they're really easy to test creatives for. Like even, Michael Christ, he talked about, his $90,000 best creative was just a picture from a parking lot, right? Like sometimes it's a really well taken picture. Sometimes it's a picture. We had a seller, there was a brand new seller. He's the top seller for July 1 or 2 years ago. He took tons of different pictures. The one that worked was like a kind of a poorly lit sun kind of reflection. It's obviously, user generated. It wasn't well focused. That one worked. It actually accidentally sort of changed the perceived color of the card. And then that card worked, and he had a $200,000 July. And, he went from complete beginner to top seller for 1 month. That's what, 1 or 2 summers ago. And so, to be able to test a whole bunch of creatives with this, or even if you want to make a video, like you can just have really cheap like stand. You can jerry rig it. See, my fiance just put the phone in her sports bra and then hit play and then make a video of, unboxing the thing, and then you put an AI voice over it. Right? So like, the ability to test more and more reps, whether it's the product, whether it's the message card or the creative thereof, and they're just not bulky. You can print the card out at home. All you really have to have is a box and the love knot. You can make as many creatives as you want, right? And so there's a low barrier to entry there with creatives. Whereas if you have a bigger, bulkier product, let's say it's a woven blanket or something. Well, you're not gonna be able to print out a woven blanket at home. But like, let's say you have a To My Soulmate card working, and then you try 10 different design versions of it, and 3 other ones work. We can immediately print it and do the best creatives of all of them. And you can iterate and test so much quicker and so much easier and so much less expensive and so much faster with the message. Our favorite product in e-commerce that anybody has access to. That point hasn't been made. Okay, Leah, wanted to ask my thoughts on message cards products in the mental health space. Okay, so you definitely need to get approved for political ads and matters of national importance if you're going to have a message like that. I don't know how big that space is. I wouldn't approach it from just a message card point of view. I would think about all sorts of different gifts and ways that they can spend money on that. It might be that t-shirts work the best or something, and selling them to teams of people. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but that is if you're looking to contribute to something you're passionate about, it's back to what Gina was kind of talking about with being able to separate yourself from the numbers. If you start to put out something that you're passionate about, whether you just like the design or whether it's something you really are passionate about, like a particular portion of mental health encouragement, then it's really hard to read the data, right? So it might be easier just to go take $500,000 and on a To My Soulmate card, and then donate some money to that and use some of the profits from the straightforward business to funnel into the passion project. As a coach, I would say, 80% of your effort into the straightest line of profitability, and leave 20% of your effort for stuff that is outside of the lines. And if the stuff that's outside of the lines ends up working, then you can flip that 80-20 and just do some basic testing in what most people make money at, and put 80% into where you were drawing outside of the lines. And then you might actually be one of those those 20 people, 50 people out of, say there's 500 successful people, very successful people. You might be one of the 20 or 50 that's able to draw significantly outside the lines and do it. But you don't want to go in mathematically assuming, especially when it's a passion project, you don't want to lose money on your passion project, because it's going to like hurt on multiple levels, right? So 80-20, I put 20% into your passion project and 80% into where the straightest line to profitability is. And then also you want to get approved for political ads and matters of national importance. You can just Google that. All they're going to do is they're going to send you a pin to your address. They want to make sure that you physically are in the country that you're selling these products to. So if you want to sell in the US, like I had a few years back, I think it was during COVID, right around there, I was physically fulfilling as a passion project and as a fun project with my mom. We were physically fulfilling some necklaces and giving a bunch of the proceeds to, there's this like a honeycomb necklace, to the Florida Beekeepers Association, because a hurricane had just wiped out all these. And so I was like, oh, that's a nice thing I can do, and it'll probably be profitable. And it was. And we gave some of the money away, and it was a fun project, but it was pretty niche. Definitely time-wise, I could have made more money just focusing on where the big piece of the money is, and I could have written a bigger check to the Florida Beekeepers Association. But it just as easily, I could have lost time and money on the bee project. I happened to make a little bit of money on the bee project, not as much as if I had focused on where I know the money is. So I'm gonna answer some more questions, but I want to do a shift back to Mother's Day mindset here. So many times, seven and multiple seven-figure years, $500,000 years, there's a one, a two, or a three, or a four bump in the way. Like this example here, this was one of my older success stories. And they had like I think it was 600, 800K Q4 off of their Mother's Day product. So they hit all the momentum events. But you don't have to hit every single event, but you do want to hit like two momentum events. If you can hit two momentum events, you're really in the game, right? And so like if you can look at, this is Dean's interview from, this is 22. This was the year that Shinon had the really high cost of and Dean was still able to clear like almost 200K in profit on this. And it was his Mother's Day card. Well, it wasn't a Mother's Day card. It wasn't like Happy Mother's Day. It was the card that worked during Mother's Day that ended up being his Q4 card. And this put him in the game with the algorithm, with his own learning curve, with money management, with time to prepare, put creatives together to learn scaling strategies, to get everything in place, make sure the credit cards were right, customer service was in place, make sure everything was in place so that if he could hit his goal, which I think might have been 500,000, but if he could hit his goal of 500,000 or $1 million or whatever it was, everything was in place. And it was this 1-2 punch. And at that level, and even at at a higher level for Matt, he was the top seller last year. What all started from the Mother's Day. Like I think he did $1 million the whole year before that. And he did like 500,000 in half a week, 1 or 2 weeks here for Mother's Day. And then that was the momentum that really launched him into a whole other stratosphere, right? And this is a very extreme example, but we're here to build a 6 or 7 figure business, a multi-6 or multi-7 figure business. The opportunity of Mother's Day is sure making some money off of Mother's Day, but it's like having another Q4. You have a smaller condensed Q4 as an e-commerce seller, and you can take advantage of that to profit and to take your business to another level and to break in your ad account, your own learning curve, and winning product, and just go through a scale and experience what it's like to scale and develop into momentum. There's nothing outside of Q4 that affords that same opportunity like Mother's Day, just more condensed. Catch what's some questions here, guys. Event is the Mother's Day momentum event a good event to gain traction? Dad-daughter niche. Yep. Think about anybody that's the direct family relationship or 1 degree of relationship of direct family relationship that could be a mother. Also, daughter has overlap with graduation. So yeah, that's a good niche to be in. Ross, would you stick with simple images at testing or video carousel? Yeah, I like simple images for testing. Simple answer for me. Simple images. I just want a picture of a very legible message card, the love nod or a forever love in the middle. Statistically, those sell the most in most niches. The ones you want to do for Mother's Day anyways. And I want that card without a lot of effort to bring in multiple sales on basically a break-even amount of ad spend. And if it does that, now I get interested in it, and now I'm going to get to work on it with videos and pictures and UGC style stuff. Let's say, let's flip that around on its head. Let's say you put a bunch of marketing effort into advertising a card that was like kind of an card, but you don't know it's an card because you made this phenomenal video, and just everything was on point. You threw all the tricks at it, and then the card was pretty meh. Okay, so you get a few sales. Now you get into the development stage. You got a much higher baseline you have to beat to potentially get it to work, right? So for me, the most straightforward way of doing this is test, extremely simple. Find that outlier and then go to work throwing all your marketing tricks at it. And then it's got the foundation of people actually really wanted to buy it just based off of a simple picture ad. Now you can put everything you got at it to develop it. It's not how everybody does it that has success, but it's a it's a recipe that does repeatedly bake the cake and works the best for me as a seller and as a coach to present it that way. Michael asking about EU. Oh, EU. VAT tax, weird payment providers, cash on delivery, customs problems, worker strikes. EU. Germany is top country there. Followed by probably France, which has a whole bunch of different logistical issues. Germany has some logistical issues if you don't do it right. You got to have Kartra there for payment providers. You have to be very aware of VAT tax. You have to price properly for each country. If you know all these things and you have all this in place, then yeah, there's money to be made. He may be on this call. We have a friend in Poland who's vertically integrated and print on demand. He does very well. He knows that country well, and he's breaking into a couple other countries, but he's got logistics and costs and everything down. And then now the other thing is back to logistics. Everything's got to go right, and there's just a lot more moving pieces. Also, these days, ever since COVID days, I like to coach. Listen, if you know what you're doing and you're a million multi or multi seven figure seller, like you know what you're getting into. If you experiment with some other stuff, like this can go right, they can go wrong. But if you're like just getting started, or maybe you've had a little bit of success, good rule to go by is like sell a product where the inventory is in that country. It's in that country, and it's a logistically sound delivery method for volume times. Like if there's the names of them, there's three different popular delivery methods in Europe. One of them definitely dropped the ball in Q4. Sorry, Germany. One of them definitely dropped the ball in Q4, and that can really hurt, right? There was a delivery method to Puerto Rico that really dropped the ball. So when you if you stick with the simplest possible straight line to success, there's less variables. Now you're going to have out of the 500 top sellers in the space, you're going to have outliers, and some of those outliers will be people that have gotten certain countries to work, and they have a different set of skills and a mode around them that they know a little bit of, where they know specifically what sort of things sell there, what price points, which payment providers, the right banking, the right accountants. Like there's a lot more moving pieces to sell into Europe. Ton of money in the US. This is a very Facebook friendly, straight product for the US. And the cogs are way cheaper now than they used to be. So there's a big pie to go around. So yeah, if the other option is US, keep it simple. Go to the US and grind it out. Get something that's got a bite, something that makes some sales, and then build a whole upsell funnel around it, test a whole bunch of different video and picture creatives, really break in your ad account, and then just scale and take your piece of the US pie, of multi-$100 million pie of family gifts. Like you're in the US, like although I'm barely in the US anymore, are so brainwashed into Hallmark holidays and the perceived value of jewelry. It's kind of a layup unless you overcomplicate it. Like it's a very straightforward business model. Keep the questions coming, guys. I like questions. There's an older slide there. Oh, I always recommend this book. I love this book. There's so many parallels between money management in day trading versus performance media buying, performance marketing. So I highly recommend this book, and really any books on the psychology of, it could be the psychology of poker, it could be the psychology of day trading. There's some really direct parallels. There's even in the first like 10 pages, you're going to learn a lot from this book. There's a couple lines from Mark Douglas in there about trying to impose your own will on the market. And when things aren't going the way that you think they're going, that you expected them to go, and you don't adjust your behavior, you experience a forced reality, and that forced reality is very psychologically damaging, and it creates, the next time there's an opportunity, it puts you in a state of fear and avoiding pain instead of a state of seeking opportunity. And when you're operating from a state of avoiding pain and fear versus seeking opportunity, you're not going to be able to take advantages of the opportunities, and you're just going to be chasing your tail. That's that among 1,000 other things that are just gems from this book. Matt Baugh, I got him on this book, and I think he's read like 20 books on the trading psychology. So he's like way deeper in that than I am. Perceptual distortion. Yeah. That's what Mark talks about in that book. Perceptual distortion, where you're mentally trying to bend what's actually happening. And same things when I call you smoking the opium. Like if it's not going to plan, like you need to test something different. You try something. Quantum jumping. I have to Google that. What am I? Bend the reality. Yeah, you're not able to. You want to be in harmony. You want to be in harmony with the markets. If you try to twist the reality to your will, you get the forced awareness in this case. The forced awareness is damaging. Okay, Mario, other than Amazon, Google Trends, is there a recommendation, research avenue to look for man that is current in the US? Well, I mean, there's spy tools, but I feel bad about giving out. I'm not trying to give out our sellers stores. Like I could tell you a couple tools, and I think you're a client, so you can go in the product research section of the course, and you're going to be able to figure out who the top stores are. Just going through that. This was a Father's Day example. One good picture, one good video, just is a total game changer. Like we were like hovering at like 5 or 6 grand break even days. It goes back to like earlier where I put up that kind of cliche video from Hormozy where he talked about getting 100 no's and to get to the yes. And this was one of those. There's like 50, 40, 60, 80. I can't even remember how many picture and video creatives. And there was one creative just really showed off this product. And then I was running the ads for the client, and they did all the creative testing. And then it was just like, oh my God, this is the one. And we just got like a 30 grand 3 ROAS day a couple days later. We got it right at the end of Father's Day. Right? But there's a lot of customer service on this. But like you're always like if you have something that's proven to sell, you have a winning product or a break-even product or an outlier, you're one creative away from that thing taking off. I quit my job off of a picture a 16-year-old kid took of a drop shipping watch. This was just a really nice picture with his iPhone. And I put that into my free plus shipping ads, and all of a sudden I was up to like 1,000+ orders a day, not even knowing what I was doing with Facebook ads at the time, because that picture was just so good. You know, it's money management, getting ready to scale, right? Growing pains. There's a client that was scaling a dropshipping store and a shine on product at the same time, and they ran out of. They weren't approved by Facebook to spend more than 10K a day, so they were stuck at, or bad problem to have, stuck at 20K. But hey, like that's opportunity cost, right? That's like if you take advantage of Mother's Day as your first momentum event, you got that whole rest of the year to get your finances in place, get Facebook allowing you to spend more money and just get your credit in place so that you can make the most out of that next momentum event. Whether you hit a Father's Day or graduation, we have a nice Q3. There's some interesting opportunities in Q3, or whether it's all hyperbolic Q4, like the 1-2 punch of Mother's Day in Q4. It's like that's like the Mike Tyson combo of shine on message card selling. It's the Mother's Day. Leah's asking about humor. We've had humor work. Sexually explicit humor in the soulmate space works the best, but it's dangerous to your ad account. Yeah, that's the humor that works, is like it's sexually explicit, like profane humor. Um, we've tried some like kind of like it was like borderline copyright infringement type humor that's worked before, where you're kind of like playing on it with something that's trending in Netflix or something. But yeah, I mean, humor works. It's just not ad account friendly, and it seems to work the best. So we've seen people with winners where like it was like a part of a stripper pole or something. Like, yeah, guys click on that and they buy it for their girlfriend or wife for sure. Um, in the early years of us doing this, we were testing a lot of adjectives, and there was a moment there where you could have a "to my wife" card, "to my beautiful wife" card, and it was like kind of working. And the second you change the adjective to my smoking hot wife, then your clicks would get like 30% cheaper immediately just from that adjective. Because we're selling to dudes, we're selling to, it's not about who's receiving it, it's about the guy who's buying it, right? And so like guys trying to get a little date night happening, right? So like yeah, that kind of suggestive message cards to flirt and be sexually suggestive, even if it's just the adjective can work. Now that smoking hot adjective didn't cause problems for most people's ad accounts, but a few people, especially with newer ad accounts, when they tried to use "to my smoking hot wife," to his girlfriend, whatever, um, that ad would get disapproved, and in the rare occasion, the ad account would be disabled. So Facebook kind of waxes and wanes, and on average, when it's more strict on ad accounts and when it's not. And there's definitely a random luck factor where I've seen over the years, can't believe what some people are getting away with versus others. Give you a real example. So I had a client when I was coaching drop shipping, and he had a store selling the baby Dopplers. Not earlier. It's one of our best products we ever did in drop shipping, and we ended up taking inventory. And his ad creative that did like 500,000 before Facebook shut it down was like literally mentioned, trying to offend anybody here, but the ad creative that literally said, after my first couple of miscarriages, I had my rainbow baby, and this device, feel more comfortable or whatever. I thought that was the most aggressive. Like, could not believe that ad got approved. And we did 500,000 with that before that got taken down, and then we had to water down the messaging. But and then somebody else just would say the word "smoking hot," and their whole ad account would get banned from day one. So it's not a fair algorithm when it comes to when you do something that's potentially off-putting to people that are going to look at it, or stuff that is in the gray area of terms of service, which a lot of stuff that's in the gray area. So yeah, I mean the humor, the sexually suggestive humor, soulmate works, but in this space, so these are kind of like, they're like Hallmark cards with a piece of jewelry on it. In the broader reach print on demand products, there's probably more room for different types of humor, maybe like canvas, or certainly for t-shirts. If you can get t-shirts to work, it's just no margin. It's difficult to follow vertical. Yeah, they're super, they're super inconsistent how they force rules. And then also, like, there's always the back end deals going to, I can get ad accounts back, and I couldn't in previous years. That's just about knowing and paying the right person. And I have a few lead gen clients that are running some stuff that is not terms of service compliant at all, but a big part of their expense is keeping ad accounts up. This was an interesting one this summer. When times are slow, we'll often look for trends, like certain products do better on the weekends and certain niches do better during the week. And this particular one, especially like when things are slower. Oh, this was Q4. We kept that. This particular one was just optimized well to do during the week, like looking for patterns and the plays that goes into your money management. Once you start scaling, you scale with a strategy that's a proven strategy, but then you need to adjust your strategy, right? So like a lot of us use a strategy called Shotgun from Tim Bird, B-U-R-D, my favorite mentor. And in that strategy, basically you have a lot of ads and ad sets. And if they spend a certain amount of money without making a purchase, you turn. And you can do that on an intraday basis. It's like day trading. And there's more rules to it. That's this one here. This was a shotgun that I ran. Okay? But certain people, certain ad accounts rather, at the end, you can keep the shotgun scaling technique on the whole Q4 or the whole Mother's Day. Other people, you need to turn it off. Other accounts, you need to turn it off at like 9 or 10 at night, or else Facebook just rapid spends and starts taking all the money back. And the ones where you turn it off, or sometimes you just turn it off to lock in your profit. Now, when you turn it on could be midnight, 12:01. It could be 4 a.m. It could be 6 a.m. It could be 8 a.m. And so you have to kind of roll with the punches. And if you see that when you turn your scaling campaign on, maybe it's a $10,000 potential spend budget, it's a manual bid campaign. I know that some of this is going to be short, but let's say it's $10,000 potential spend budget. You're spending $5,000 a day or something and doing 12, 15 grand in sales. Certain accounts, you need to start the campaign at midnight, and it's smart enough not to spend until 8 or 9 a.m. where it gets a spike. Other accounts, you start at 4 a.m. so you can get a little bit of spend so you can start to make some decisions in the morning. Other accounts, you do better if you started right at 7 a.m. and then you do your rules during the day. Either get more aggressive or less aggressive. You win big, lose small. And so, you start out with a strategy that's a proven strategy to have worked in the past and is currently working for other people in the mastermind. And then as time goes on, some accounts need this adjustment. Other accounts will. Some people have an easier scale of it. Some people have to press more buttons, but you have to be willing to roll with the punches a bit. it's good to be in a mastermind because, you know, a hub of information in real time, what's actually happening and actually working. Certain accounts will scale with one technique, others accounts, this is working better. There might be like 7 out of 10 people that tried this in the mastermind, it worked. The other 3, it didn't. And then there's like 2 people where this other thing worked that doesn't normally work. Cool, why don't you guys try that too? Okay, that worked great for 2 people, but not for the other 8. And so, you know, you get a couple of different scaling techniques and you trade info on what's working, what's not. Just somebody that came in late and in Q4. And then that Q4, your Q4 winner will often make the same or more money for you. If you come in late in Q4, they'll often make the same or more money for you in Q1. So keep in mind. All right, guys, well, we're about at time here. So to get a hold of me, most of you guys know how to get a hold of me. Let me find. You're here, you're probably already in my email list or Gina's. We've got the free group, Print on Demand Profits with Mario. Go to my website and you can scroll through some more beautiful screenshots and you can book a call with me and you can have a 15-minute chat, see if the mastermind is right for you, listen to a couple more testimonials. And the deal we're running now is that you get the rest of this calendar year with us for my normal price for 6 months. Coaching program, you get a certain amount of one-on-one calls with me. You get some one-on-one calls with my junior media buyer, Caleb. You get Gina and Caleb to build you a store. This is going to be a top 1% store. We've got 4 group calls per week going on right now. I teach 1 or 2 of them. Gina teaches a creative call. Caleb will teach a call in testing. And currently, Matt Baugh, who you guys all know, Shannon's current top seller, as far as I know, he's teaching the Tuesday call. So it's a phenomenal mastermind. It's our life's work. We've been taking people to 6- and 7-figure businesses over and over and over again in this space and in others. And so obviously, I think it's a phenomenal investment and the amount of attention we give you is unparalleled. And the results we get is completely unparalleled in the space as well. And we deal in reality. I'm going to deal in what is the fastest way for you to build a 6- or 7-figure business or take your 6- and 7-figure business to the next level. The least amount of pain in the most direct way with the least amount of chaos. So I can end on that. I got time for 1 or 2 more questions. Hope you guys got some value out of today. I enjoyed doing this call. Do like 1 or 2 of these a year where I'll usually just for Mother's Day and for Q4. This in here, and then let me grab the notes from today's call. And I'll put a replay just uploaded to my free Facebook group. I'll put a replay in there and this doc as well. Danielle, I don't have anybody doing $1 million that's not making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. But yeah, a lot of coaches are full of it. I agree with you on the first part. You want to be making, I don't know, 15 to 30% net. Have I had people do $1 million and make 10 or 12%? Sure. Somebody does $1 million with me and doesn't make 6 figures. Something that wildly wrong. And it's probably something small fixed. That's a big rarity. I'm not saying it's never happened, but it's very rare. Remember my coaching calls. Okay, so I still think on Eastern time, even though I'm in Europe. Let's see. The Monday call is 10 a.m. Eastern. And that's the testing and development call, which is what we talked about a bit, like initial testing and developing the products out. All recorded, by the way. The Tuesday call is Matt's teaching that one. I think it's 11 a.m. Eastern. I think that currently works the best for him right now. It's really about his schedule, you know, living his best life with his family. So whatever time's good for him, we're happy to that he still wants to teach after the year he had last year and what he's doing now. Wednesday, Gina's doing a 10 a.m. call as well on creatives, phrase building. You ask 2 questions, of course. Video creatives, picture creatives, creativity portion of it. The Thursday call I teach is usually on overall tactics and then, you know, geeking out on scaling. That one is at 1 p.m. Eastern. And you know, we'll do some random Q&As at random times too. You also have a Slack group and a Facebook group and 5-day a week chat with me and my staff too. So it's not like if you don't make the group call, you're not getting individual. Okay, guys, let me wrap it up there. Thanks for spending a couple hours of your Sunday with me. I didn't say the price, Michael. You want to see if you if you want to see if you're a fit, jump on the call. Go to just spend 15 minutes with me on a Zoom call. Oh, my link is missing. And I just yes. Jump on a 15-minute call with me because there's more particulars I like to go through. If you're not a fit, it's totally fine too. I want to see what your goals are. I want to make sure it's a fit. We got to work with you for the rest of the year, me and my team. So we got to be on the same page before I price drop. I'll tell you this, there's groups out there that get a lot less or no results, and they're more per month than I am. But I usually want to work with people for a longer period of time. So the total investment might be slightly more than your other options. But what we deliver is reality and results and 10 times more. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. And again, thanks for spending time with me. I'll see you.